Hello and welcome to the Africa AV Show, the podcast where we unpack the people, products, and platforms driving the electric mobility revolution across the continent. My name is Njenga Hakeenah in Nairobi, and in today's episode, we head to Nigeria to speak to or with the CEO of Orbit Electric, a company making bold moves in the two-wheeler EV market. With their flagship model, the CF1, now on the roads, Orbit is pushing to redefine urban transport through locally designed and affordable electric motorcycles. But what's the real strategy behind this momentum? We are skipping the climate pitch and diving into the business playbook, discussing market segmentation, distribution, customer financing, and what it takes to scale a hardware company in a challenging yet high potential market like Nigeria. Whether you're an investor, an e-mobility operator, or just EV curious, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. Let's get into it, and to get this insight into all these issues, I'm joined by Kenneth Ukpabia. He is the CEO of Orbit Electric Automobile Limited, an e-mobility company specializing in the assembly and distribution of electric motorcycles, tricycles, and minibuses. Their flagship product, the CF1 electric motorcycle, is designed for affordability, durability, and suitability for local conditions. Welcome, Ukpabia. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on your show, and I'm really excited to share my knowledge and insights as regards the electric mobility space in Nigeria.
Nice. Welcome. I know it's almost lunchtime for you, so I don't want to be the one who stays between you and your lunch, and we'll just get into this. I'm very grateful. It's a very wet Nairobi afternoon.
Wow.
So the earlier, the better we get to our lunches so that we can get warm.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I want to start with asking, what market segment are you prioritizing for the CF1? Is it commuters, logistics operators, or another group? And how are you tailoring your distribution and pricing strategies for each?
So basically, we are based in Lagos, Nigeria, and we are deploying electric two-wheelers into the market. So our flagship product is the CF1. The CF1 basically interfaces between the transport and the logistics. But in Lagos, Nigeria, because of policy reasons from the government, most of the transport motorcycles are not being prevalent or predominant in the urban part of the city. So for a company that is trying to grow, we had to focus on the logistics part of it. And it's the CF1 can actually handle transportation, and also it can also handle the logistics. But presently, our target market is we have to first handle the logistics part of it as regards dispatch, deliveries, last mile deliveries, and yes, that's our focus for now.
All right. So you're on logistics. Your major is logistics.
Yeah.
And given the cost sensitivity of the Nigerian market, and not just Nigerian, but also the African market, because that is what is
Yes.
determining if I get a product or not.
Yes.
In Nigeria, how are you positioning Orbit Electric against petrol-powered alternatives and other EV competitors?
So basically, Orbit Electric, we have been iterating products. It's not our first product in the market, and we have been iterating our product, and we actually resulted to border our projects around affordability, right? Because we have seen that affordability was quite a problem, right? And considering the fact that you are serving very low income earners, and their probability to buy depends on the price of the product. So our project actually bordered around affordability, where we are applying more innovative methods to be able to drive down the affordability of the product, right? So that's why, number one, we actually resulted to be able to locally assemble these products, right? Because we have seen that as regards transportation and as regards value, we have seen that bringing in, assembling this product is going to make it a little bit cheaper. That's number one. And number two, another innovative method we're looking at to drive down the cost for the product is looking at how we can produce some of these components locally, right? Because we're also seeing that if we produce locally, some of these components that we import from China, it's going to be way much reduced if we produce them locally in Nigeria. So trying to pitch our products side by side, the fuel bikes, we're trying to ensure that the CF1 basically can compete with the ice bikes favorably as regards price and durability.
All right. And it's interesting that you've mentioned getting components from China, but we'll get to that a bit later. What I want to kind of connect now is because you're locally assembling. I know in some countries like Kenya, where I am, and I think Uganda and Tanzania, um, people who are buying motorbikes, for instance, do not get to buy the batteries because the batteries are the most expensive component of the bike.
Mm.
And so, how the manufacturers or assemblers are recouping their profits are through the charging that the motorbike riders have to do every day or every so often.
Yes.
Is it the same thing that you guys are doing? Or if I come and purchase a bike, I am getting the whole thing?
Yeah. So if different geographies have different ways they think and they buy products, right? And the Nigerian market is a little bit quite different, right? When we look at the customers we're trying to serve in the Nigerian market, they have different diverse kind of customers. And we are predominantly, before now, customers can just go into a car shop or a bike shop and just go and buy a bike, buy a car. And that is the way some Nigerians look at it. They don't really understand the whole they want to pay later, or they want to buy the battery and the bike, or buy one part and pay the rest later or something. They're not really all about that. But we try to give as much options to the customer as regards this. We have some customers that, yes, they want to buy outright, they can sell outright for you. But on the other side, if you want to make it, you want some affordable package, we can say, okay, you get to buy the bike alone, then probably you pay as you use energy in the battery. Basically, that's another model. So as regards the kind of customers we are targeting, we targeted to serve, we are basically really doubling down on how we can make the battery quite affordable. That is, we're trying to see how can we charge them based on the energy they consume in the battery. Basically, that's our basic model, because we found out that most of them, like 70-80% of them, they can't afford the bikes. So we have to bring up innovative methods to drive affordability of the bikes.
Mm. And that's higher purchase, right?
Yes, that's higher purchase.
When it comes to, because if I am buying a product, maintenance, replacement of parts, and their
Okay.
availability is
Yeah.
key.
Yes.
What is
Yes.
your approach, especially when it comes to areas outside major urban centers like Lagos?
Well, for right now, we actually focus on Lagos, right? Because we are still an upcoming company, right? We actually focus on Lagos, and as regards after sales service, right? As regards after sales service, we get to train the roadside mechanics that repair normal ICE bikes. They come to us, we do them a little bit of training, a 3-day training, so they have an idea on how to troubleshoot our bikes, right? And also, we are an assembling company. We have huge tech in-house team to be able to troubleshoot anything as regards the bike. But on the other side, for if you're out of our reach, maybe you're in some places that you cannot come to our assembly points, you can actually locate any of the certified roadside mechanics. Also, still we have we have parts. We have parts that we bought bikes in CKD, so we actually dedicated some of these bikes to be for spares in case our customers come in in case our customers come in and they want some spare, we can be able to handle that. Also, we're signing, agreements with local spare parts dealers that they can be able to import our spare parts and be able to sell as regards when we are going to scale. Probably next time we're bringing in 1,000 units. Most of the spare parts dealers, they could be able to come and buy spare parts from us and resell to our customers. So we are still doing lots of innovative methods to be able to make sure that our spare parts, our after sales service can be able to get to our customers wherever they are within Lagos.
Yeah. So earlier on, you have mentioned that you source your components from China. Why is this? And do you also source from Europe and the US, or is it uh, completely from China?
Well, for right now, we resorted to sourcing from China as regards the scale, their ability to scale and provide um components bikes at scale. We have not really looked at the European market, because number one, the European market, most of them still go to China to get some of their components. Some of them still are quite expensive from my research, and also still the most of them don't really have some kind of bilateral um, agreements between Nigeria and those countries as regards electric mobility, right? And China has actually done a lot, trying to drive electric mobility in Nigeria, trying to enable us sign some technical agreements, because they may not be able to sign some technical agreements with Nigerians as regards trying to make sure that most of these technologies are being passed down to us based on manpower and labor, right? Skill development and capacity building, right? They are not really comfortable with passing down this thing, but China is quite comfortable, which we had with our foreign partners, our Chinese partners, and yes, and those are the reasons why I think I would prefer the Chinese guys and probably the Indian guys than over the European guys.
So you want to say that there's a lot of bureaucracy in other parts, like in the US, in other regions, like in Europe, but it is very easy to work with the Chinese.
I think it's quite easy and flexible to work with the Chinese, right? I think it's quite easy, and because the Chinese they have modes in which they used to work with different parts of the world, and they try to enable them through different channels, diplomatic channels, to enable them work comfortably with different countries in different parts of the world, which I really don't see with other European companies that's trying to hide their IP, that's trying to secure themselves and all that. So they have their own bureaucracies as regards working with companies and try to expose you to. Imagine a Chinese man can actually, walk you through on how to develop a battery pack, on how to develop a motor, a controller, right? A Chinese guy can actually do that for you. As regards these other guys, it's going to take a lot. They want to sign a lot of agreements and all that for them to do that, which our government in Nigeria is actually encouraging us for them to even give us a license to assemble motorcycles in Nigeria. They actually wanted to see our technical agreements with our foreign partners to ensure that these our foreign partners can be able to send down, transcend this knowledge to us in Africa.
That's an interesting perspective that I've not had from any other person. And I've spoken with a number of Africans from different countries, and government policy or guidance on how to deal with people is not there. But it's interesting that in Nigeria, you are being checked like, are you able to do this? Are you able to do this business with this guy? It's very interesting. But probably you
Yeah,
can
yes.
give us like a snippet for us to understand better. Is this on policy in government, or is it a requirement by the ministry of that you fall under? Could be the
Yeah,
Ministry of
it's
Transport.
a requirement. It's a requirement, right? It's a requirement
Mhm.
because the present government in Nigeria, we're trying to push skill development, right? Not just want to, okay, you bring bytes and you assemble, but in 2 years from now, what are your plans to be able to integrate local production? How can you integrate local component production? How is your technical partners coming, or what are the plans? It's all embedded into our agreements. They will want to see it. They actually have to see your agreements with your foreign partners to be able to make sure that you're not just you just don't want to come and flood the market with Chinese bikes and no local value added to it,
All right.
right?
Oh, it
Which is quite a which is it's a criteria, right, for our government right now to be able to give you a license to manufacture some of these vehicles in Nigeria. Yeah.
and it's a milestone because in many of the countries that I have featured or people I have spoken with, it's all about import of like all the components. And then I know in Kenya we have like a 30% requirement for EVs to be from
Mm.
local.
Mm.
And then hearing that Nigeria is also pushing beyond that, that we can locally produce this, we can locally make this. It's a plus.
Yeah.
And what percentage of your production is local in terms of like the components?
Okay, so we're actually pushing at 30% of this component, right? And which is very, very achievable. Looking at the fact that we have almost everything we need in Nigeria. We have the manpower, we have the skill, we have the even we have the academia, from people from the academia side, right, that can be able to do these things. But probably we need to also learn from the Chinese and how they did it to be able to go with that. So it to me, from my own perspective, we really need to even do more than just even 30%, right? We even need to even do more because presently, I mean, I can't see myself importing tires from China into Nigeria. We have one of the biggest factories in West Africa that produces tires, right? Motorcycle and three-wheeler tires in West Africa. It's also a Chinese company, but they're producing in Nigeria. So why am I going to import tires? When I import my bikes, I don't import tires. I leave them out, right? And very soon we will still start reducing the amount of components that we import to a barest minimum of probably 50%, because I mean, very soon there are battery production factories popping up here and there. People are doing a lot of research as regards producing motors, right? So there's a lot of work around that probably at a particular point we will not even be able to import 30%. Is going to be a lot of work, because I mean, how can I import a couch?
Mm. Well, it
Doesn't
can be
just make
made in
sense.
Nigeria.
And it can be made in Nigeria. I can put some guys in the locals. I can tell them, look at the sample I want to make. They make it for me, and they bring it to. So these are the things that we should start from the grassroots, right? If we can be able to say, okay, let us start looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components. With that, we can be able to scale it, right? So we're not the present Nigerian government, and the minister of trade and investment. It's really pushing for to make sure that automobile companies in Nigeria can be able to produce components in Nigeria. Because if Mr. A, B, C, D out there, this person produces this particular component, this one produces this component, this person produces components. I mean, imagine if that person produces components for 1,000 car units or 1,000 bikes, right? And for probably like 4, 5 companies. I mean, he's now creating employment for his own. And how many people is he now going to employ as a result of this? This is what just happens in China, right? So I believe that gradually we can be able. That's why the government is of the opinion that you should be able to try through the NADDC. You should be able to try to produce a few components so that it's going to create employment, skill development, right, capacity building for the people. And with time, in no time, we can now be able to do these things ourselves without importing any of these components.
And it is very possible. It is very possible.
Yes, it's very,
So
very
let's shift now. And you are planning on increasing the charging stations to address the charging challenges and also facilitate easier EV adoption. For a motorbike rider in Lagos, what is the distance they have to travel to charge their bikes or swap their batteries if need be?
okay. So basically, depends. Number one, it has to not depend on the battery capacity. That's number one. So basically, it depends on the battery capacity. Our battery capacity is about 60 kilometers, one battery. And it's an option. If you want to have one battery, it's okay. If you want to have two batteries, it's okay. So if you have two batteries, you can go 120 kilometers. You don't even need to charge, right? Or you don't really need to swap on the road. But if you say you're having one battery, right, we actually sell with the chargers so that you can charge wherever you want to, wherever you are. So that you can just stop somewhere and charge for like an hour, 30 minutes and continue your journey. It mustn't get full for you to continue your journey. So basically, we did a research and we found out that the average logistic rider in Nigeria goes about 100 between 90 and 100 kilometers daily. So developing a battery of 60 kilometers can take you quite a distance. And also you can actually charge in any of the charge stations or in your friend's house, wherever you are, you can charge your battery and still continue the journey. Depends on your depends on the mode you want to apply. So I'm not saying that the charge stations are not good. They're also good. They have their own advantages, right? But on the other side, when we studied our markets to an extent, we found out that some of these riders, they want to own their batteries, right? They want to be like, okay, it's my battery, it's my personal battery. Like, having a car and you have your battery in your car, you know that this is my particular battery. I am not swapping it with anybody. It's not leaving mine. This is my particular battery. Some of the riders just want that, right? Opposed to some riders that want to swap. So it's a thing of what really the customer wants for the different the different geography that they found themselves.
All right. That's interesting. And the fact that you provide chargers means they can charge their bikes at home. That also makes it easier for everyone. But I wanted to ask something about the challenges with electricity in Nigeria. Are they improving or not?
Of course, they're improving. Of course, there's an improvement in the yes, of course, especially in Lagos that we are based. There's nowhere in Lagos that doesn't have at least a 15-hour light. There's nowhere in Lagos at least a 15-hour light. I mean, we have to between 10 and 15 hours. Everywhere has light in Lagos. So
Mm,
charging the battery is 3 hours, and most of these places that's residential, they have light in the night. Because I mean, as the power distribution company, the power distribution company gets to focus on different areas and supply light to different areas based on who is there at that time, right? So looking at the residential areas, they tend to supply light to the residential areas in the night because everybody's back home. But when it comes to the commercial part of the whole commercial part, they get to give them light in the daytime. So in the night, most of them they have lights. But in the daytime, they give light to the more commercial area. Yes.
all right. Ah, nice. That is encouraging because apart from traffic in Lagos, electricity was another issue that was always in the news.
But the thing about it is that things are improving. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to beat my chest and say a lot of things are improving in Nigeria. So I won't say there's a total blackout. No, I won't say that. I would say that a lot of things are improving. A lot of things are improving, especially in Lagos. Lagos is, I mean, I told you, it's how many million people. And imagine if companies have started investing in power generation in Lagos, right? In different parts of Lagos, and it's been handled by the distribution company. So if you are eligible enough, you can just go and produce power for a particular part of Lagos, and you're going to be being paid based on the amount of energy you produce and consume in a place like Lagos, right? So honestly, I don't really see that Lagos is a total blackout. No, Lagos, there's a lot of light. There's a lot of light. So it's not something that anybody go tell you that Anybody will tell you that we do the work, as in we sit down with the distribution companies and they get to tell us how this distribution works. Right? It's not totally the way the internet says it. It's not.
Nice. Nigeria has been sold, especially in Lagos. So if you're thinking of investing now and you are worried about electricity or traffic, now is the time to go. And actually, because
This is the
the
best time.
population 30 million, that is almost like three quarters of what, or maybe past three quarters of Kenya's population. So Nigeria, Lagos would be a good place if you're thinking of investing. But let's shift a bit and go back to ownership. And I want to ask how
Okay.
you're leveraging partnerships with financiers, ride hailing platforms, or even telecoms for market penetration and also um, customer acquisition.
Okay. So basically, we have, as we said, we did our research and found out that a lot of these low income earners, they tend to want the um higher purchase, right on pay as you go business model, right? Which is totally fine, right? But so we got to partner with a lot of finance companies, a few finance companies as regards this. Yes, we got to partner with Opticon. Opticon is an asset finance company. We had an agreement with them. Also, we had an agreement with Nkobo. Nkobo actually it's another Nkobo MFB. It's a microfinance bank, right? And also we having a bigger agreement with a consumer credit scheme that has been run by the government, which is called Credit Corp, to be able to enable more of those riders get bikes. In the sense that um it's been run by the government, and the government actually um reduces the interest rates for these riders, right? If the conventional asset finance companies does about 30%, the credit corp does about 15%, right? 15 to 17% tops, right? So the government, that is government being big on making sure that most of this made in Nigeria to be stressed and be emphasized, made in Nigerian vehicles, right, be pushed into the market, right? They have actually started with TVS. They are a three-wheeler made in Nigeria, ICE manufacturer, ICE three-wheeler manufacturer, right? They've started on that project. They have done a lot there. So it's basically trying to use the government funds to be able to inject into the people so that they can have access to these vehicles, right? So with having a country, we're not done with the agreement, but I'm sure it's at its very advanced stage, and I'm sure definitely very sure we're going to announce the partnership and be able to make sure there's a big penetration of electric two-wheelers into the market. So that's about the financing part of it. Also, when it comes to the ride hailing, yes, a lot of the ride hailing companies have reached out to us and trying to see, okay, how they can use their own network to be able to bring in customers and be able to buy bikes and and ride to own and all that. Yes, I've had conversations with almost all of them, the Bolt, Chowdeck, what's the other, Glovo and Uber. I've had conversations with them. Yes, but most of these conversations, you gradually have them, and they going to be escalated to what they want to be. Also, as regards the telecom, yes, we have agreement with telecom company like MTN as regards the Internet of Things, because we use IoTs for electric motorcycles. So we get to get the SIM cards, the IoT SIM cards from them, which is being powered by MTN. This SIM cards, this IoT enables us to control, monitor the bikes, the batteries, wherever they are, and be able to collect data. Also, try to remotely control, remotely shut down the bikes. So we've got a lot of, and it actually still boils down to still cascades to help the asset financing companies that give them confidence that yes, wherever the bike is, yes, we can be able to have access to the bike have access to shut down the bike in case there's any default, and access to track the bike, whatever the bike is in Lagos. So I mean, the three of these people have actually we've already had partnerships with them one way or the other, interface with them one way or the other to be able to enable our customers to have access to our assets.
All right. All right. And Nigeria is already a big market. Lagos is already big as well because it's 30 million people. But do you see yourselves expanding beyond Nigeria? And which markets would you be looking at and why?
You know, yes, to be honest with you, Lagos is the biggest market in Africa. I'll be honest with you, right? Imagine Lagos is the size of a country, of two countries, or three countries in Africa combined, right? So Lagos is quite a big market. When I'm even talking about Kano, Kano is another state in Nigeria that's of the same size of Lagos. Kano, Kano is a commercial hub of the north, which is big. It's as big as Lagos, right? So looking at expanding out of Nigeria is definitely possible. But fulfilling the Nigerian market will take a lot of work than expanding out far. But if I want to expand, definitely I will look at Tanzania for expansion. I'll look at Botswana. I'll look at Sierra Leone, definitely for expansion. And before you expand, you have to do all your work to make sure that you are expanding to the right geography as regards their buying power, their acceptability to technologies, a lot of indices they're going to check out before you say, okay, you want to deploy capital and resources to such kind of geography. So yes, we have possibilities. Definitely, we have possibilities of expanding out of the Nigerian market. But Nigerian market is too big. I'll be honest with anybody. Anybody that thinks it's not about the problem is not even about the demand. The problem is, can you supply, right? And can you supply is a word. Most times it's not. If I see that I have units pending sitting down somewhere, it's probably because someone has committed to them. But it's very difficult to have units sitting down. A lot of people have the units I have coming in are all sold out. They have not even reached my warehouse. A lot of people have a lot of customers have already showed very strong interest to taking the ad meetings and all that to take them. The demand is really, really high.
It is high. And I want to just probably understand why you would go to Tanzania, Botswana, and Senegal and not Kenya, Ethiopia, or some other country.
Yeah, number one, Kenya is saturated with electric mobility. What am I going to do in Kenya that is they have not done there? That's a big question. What am I going to do in Kenya that is not done there? Kenya has the big boys. Kenya is the spearhead of electric mobility in Africa, right? Kenya has the Ampersads, the Rome, and other XXX Arkride. A lot of big boys are in Kenya, right? So I mean, it's going to be counterproductive pushing my resources to such kind of geography. Or when it comes to a place like probably Botswana or Egypt or somewhere that you look at the landscape, you look at how many companies are doing the same thing there, right? Before you think about deploying into such kind of geographies, right? So it's not that other geographies is bad, but you have, as I said, you have to check out a few indices and indexes to make sure that, okay, yes, it is going to work getting onto that place. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but yes, you have to do your research to know where deploying resources to.
And on that note, we wrap up this episode of the Africa AV show. A big thank you to you, Ukpabia.
Ukpabia. Yes.
Yes, the CEO of Orbit Electric in Nigeria, for sharing your sharp insights on how local innovation customer-first thinking, and smart partnerships are shaping the future of electric mobility in Nigeria. As we've heard today, the shift to EVs in Africa isn't just about cleaner transport, it's about new market models, rethinking affordability, and building resilient supply chains from the ground up. If you're building in this space, investing in it, or just keeping an eye on the next frontier of mobility, this is the kind of thinking you need to watch out for. And if you are part of Africa's EV movement and have a story to tell, would love to hear from you. Please reach out to us in the comments or through our social media platforms so that we can be able to highlight the innovations happening where you are. Also, we have more of these on YouTube and on our website, chinaglobalsouth.com, or on other platforms where you get your podcasts from. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep charging forward. And Ukpabia, thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time.